Well, some out there have put into question whether or not I'm a lifelong toy collector. When it comes to Star Wars, there was no gap. I was in there as a kid, and in 1995, when Power of the Force 2 came out, I never stopped. And by never stopped, I mean I have every single original trilogy 3 and 3/4 figure released since 1995. I don't have enough space to display all of them. I kind of have them in little niches around my office, and but I have them in my back office, I guess, all in cases that are easy to get to. So the fact that I've been doing this so long gives me some interesting kind of we call it advantages. One being every time a new figure comes out, I can very easily get the older version of that for comparison, and that's actually a really cool thing. I mean, there's got to be over several thousand figures there, and I love that I can do that, and that's one of the things I enjoy about collecting. And the fact that I've been doing it so long means that, like others who've been doing it so long, so I'm trying to point out not just me, but people who have been in since '95 or around then, we have like complete Jabba's palace, and we have a very complete cantina. And why do I say this? Well, obviously with the release of the Haslab Cantina, which I'm very excited will be on its way to my office in, like November next year? Hey, it'll be a birthday present. November's my birthday. All right, never mind. The point is I have all those figures. And I finally have a place to display them because getting a full Cantina playset is honestly something I've personally wanted my whole collecting life. And I think, I've made a lot of videos about how special the Cantina is, both as a film scene, a pop culture moment, and with action figures. I mean, I think there's a deeper cut in those few minutes of film than any other. So this obviously lent itself to playsets from day one, and Kenner was right there in the beginning, and they did a creature Cantina that came with a cardboard backer, but some action features that allowed you to, lightsaber duel against unarmed fugitives, let's call them, and stickers just like the new one. So it's very, I guess, nostalgic, shall we say, to be able to make the cantina your own, as Hasbro called it. I thought that was kind of neat. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you had a limited number of characters in the original line that could go in your cantina, but people didn't really care about that. I mean, you could have an Ewok in there, and Jabba the Hutt. Why not? The point is, childhood was fun, and we played. So, despite the fact that we only had a handful of aliens released, and obviously nowadays we have a lot more. So the other one notable in the vintage days, of course, was the Sears exclusive Cantina Adventure set, notable because it was just made of cardboard and because this was the source of the infamous blue snaggletooth. So while the idea was kids were getting this awesome, cool dual playset of the front and back of the Cantina, well, cardboard playsets would come back to haunt us. More on that later. It came with 4 figures, and one of them was exclusive to this set, the blue snaggletooth. So that's why this one sort of lives in infamy, because of, get a in-box or in-polybag snaggletooth, and it's funny, you can get the Gentle Giant one for like the same price as a vintage. Anyway, that's not the point. All right, let's look then at modern versions of the Cantina. So, obviously this playset has been done by more than just Kenner back in the day. I mean, Lego's had quite a few shots at this thing and has done quite a, probably the most detailed playset of the Cantina ever, done. And of course, even in modern collecting, we've had other Cantinas, which I think has frustrated fans seeing that this was made before the Tatooine Cantina. So, I don't know, maybe it's a precursor. We've also had mini versions, notably the C-3PO from the Micro Machine collection from Galoob in the early 90s, transformed into Docking Bay 94 and a full Cantina, or as they just called it, Bar. And, complete with little aliens and little Millennium Falcon. This was a fun time to be into Star Wars. Man, I miss those times. That was when we could go to Toys R Us. All right, so yeah, Cantina is a very toyetic locale. And, I mean, there's action in it. Lego has recognized that with both a sort of mini version that just gives you kind of the Tatooine streets version of the Cantina. And then, of course, if you're all in a major Lego blockhead or brickhead, excuse my faux pas there, Freudian slip when you say one thing and mean your mother. But yeah, this is probably the best Cantina playset ever made because it's full, it's complete, it has an inside and outside all the way around, something that even with the Haslab version we don't quite get that. But that's, fine. I don't think anyone is looking for that or expecting it. I mean, imagine how much that would cost. All right, so transitioning from Lego back to the 3 3/4 Star Wars collection passed along from Kenner to Hasbro in '95, we definitely saw our fair share of Cantina, whether it was figures packaged with a backdrop and a bit of Cantina floor. Does that count as a playset? I don't know. I mean, from a certain point of view. Then, of course, there was the infamous cardboard Cantina. I mentioned this earlier, that, maybe it was replicating the original vintage one. But man, I can't tell you, this was one of those toys I just despised. I bought it for the exclusive Stormtrooper, Sandtrooper, or Trooper. But cardboard to me, it feels like trash. And I'm not in favor of using it in toy product. I don't think I ever worked on a toy that had cardboard. Someone will probably prove me wrong. I think there was like some maybe DC line that had cardboard backdrops or something. But I don't like cardboard as part of a toy. And yeah, I think I wound up, I don't even know if I kept it. It was fun to set figures around, but it looks like paper. And I'm just not a fan of paper in any kind of toy form. I mean, just look at what Nintendo did with cardboard. Okay, so we did finally get plastic pieces of the Cantina, starting with these, I guess 3 different aliens packaged with a chunk of the Cantina bar, a straight chunk. Now, notably, there's seats. They are removable, but they're non-existent. In the movie, there's no seats. The Cantina has no chairs. I think there's like 1 or 2 stools pulled up to it at one point, but yeah, there's not seats all along it. But it was cool to get updated versions of Cantina aliens. This is back when we, didn't have that many. And, repaints. This was the bartender repainted, and the glass was no longer in his hand. And I think Katik Katak made his debut here. But again, we're getting 3 glasses and a straight Cantina bar section, no variety. So over time, these even got repackaged as 3-packs. But by the time you got all of them, and if you wound up with sort of 6 straight portions, well, you could make either side of the bar or like a little piece of the bar, but we had to go for a long time without being able to complete and have both sections, or, both long sides actually connect. So fans were very vocal, and Hasbro finally, for the 30th anniversary, packaged 2 Cantina aliens with half a curved section. So Herlot and Onef, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing them, each came with a half of a curve. So you actually had to buy both of these characters twice to get all the curved sections needed, which I know I did, because I don't remember buying them double, but I must have, because I have 4 of those curved sections. And again, it's awesome to have the payoff of finally having a plastic playset to display these figures. I'm not alone. You go on, these are Google searches for Cantina collections. There are a lot of us who have been in this for a long time. And it's really nice to have a payoff to something like that, because it really does reward being all in for the long haul. And I love that about toys. I love rewarding long-term collectors, like why we did a lot of accessories in Motu Classics and went with previous characters. All right. Anyway, back to the Cantina. So yeah, it's great. I didn't order the full thing because I just couldn't imagine having that much space. But I'm glad I'm getting the 3 3/4 there. Oh, that's ironic. It's the 3 3/4 of the Cantina. I was always curious though that there's like not a spot for the band. I guess they go in one of the alcoves, but I wish they made it like clear, or they had like, I don't know, more band stuff. I think that's my only grief, and that they covered the top of the bar. I wish they'd covered it with a top, so you weren't looking at the inner working. All right, and I know Hasbro's got big plans to go back to Tatooine and offer a lot of characters from Episode 4 in that era. Instead of Moma and Adon, I'd love for them to finally crank out those Cantina aliens we don't have. I mean, now that we have this multi-$100 playset, I think it's fair game to expect everyone at this point. And that includes getting the final Cantina band member, or at least his instrument. So come on, Hasbro, if you're watching this video, it's right there on the left side of the screen. We need that instrument. Personally, I really want all of the on-set aliens. Most of the aliens were shot in pickups in London afterwards because Lucas wanted more aliens. But I love those. And the humans, are so many humans in the Cantina. There's more humans than aliens in a lot of ways. Well, until the pickup shots added all more. And these are going to be a tough sell, obviously, because, yeah, a generic human that appears in the background, that's, you know, not a big seller. So hopefully Hasbro, again, listening, this would be great in those online 4-packs that you guys do. So maybe you could find a way to, like, you know, use some Luke or other, you know, Tatooine-ish. I'm sure that you've got all the arms and legs, so make some heads. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it was a cool look at the history of Cantina playsets and what we might have to look forward to. If you like this video, please do share it with others. It's the best way to support this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.